What up YouTube, Nathan Heightz here. Thank you for tuning into my channel, and today I'm coming at you guys with a video I know a lot of my older subscribers would enjoy. It's a video on my language learning process and how I am currently learning Spanish, and just basically how I have gone from being absolutely ignorant of the Spanish language to becoming someone who can actually hold a conversation, who can tell a story in Spanish. Now, quick disclaimer, I know that I don't speak Spanish perfectly. I still make grammar mistakes, and sometimes I still forget words, but I can speak it good enough to survive in a Spanish-speaking situation, in a Spanish-speaking country, and to just generally know what's going on and to actually build relationships. Even though sometimes I can find myself in trouble trying to explain myself, or maybe explaining myself in like an overextended way, in a long way, right? So here on this postcard I have a couple notes that I want to share with you guys, but before I do that, I just want to let you guys know on my channel I have a playlist of my Spanish learning progress from years ago. Now I believe it's been like almost 4 or 5 years since I first decided to start studying Spanish, and I decided that I would learn Spanish. So a few years ago, or from a few years ago, you can see the videos I posted. There's a playlist. It's my Spanish language progress, and from 5 years of study I posted my first video, and after that I posted another video every month all the way to a year, and you can see the amount of progress I made. I believe one of the videos has like 30,000 views or something, the 1 year video update, progress update. So go ahead and check that out so you can see the amount of progress I've made. And in fact, in that time I feel I've gotten a little worse at Spanish over the last few years because I haven't practiced it as much, but I do know enough to be able to hold basic conversations. And you can go see my 1 year progress and just make your own judgment, see for yourself, right? So anyways, this flashcard. The first thing I did for the first 3 months is I use this program called Pimsleur. If you haven't heard of it, you should look it up. I believe it's Pimsleur, Pimsleur Language Learning Program. Search it online. A lot of times they have it at your local library. You can purchase it, the digital version. You can purchase the hard copy version, the CDs, or you can find an illegal download online. They exist. They're there. I use that. I did the first 90 lessons. I believe they have like 150 lessons, but I did the first 3 levels, 90 lessons, and basically it's just repetition of different phrases. You repeat them, and slowly but surely you build your vocabulary. It's very slow, but if you go through 1 lesson a day like I did, you will finish 3 levels in 3 months, and that's what I did. And simultaneously I began studying Spanish grammar, so I had a very boring and very bad Spanish grammar book that I would read at the same time to kind of help build my vocabulary. So then from there, once that was done, I used this program called Michel Thomas. It's a very short program. You can go through it rather quickly, especially if you already went through the entire Pimsleur program. And this program, Michel Thomas, can also be purchased on Amazon. It can be found online illegally, whatever you gotta do. But it exists, and it basically teaches you verb conjugations in a really easy way. It's a fantastic program. I have a review of the program on my channel from years ago. You can go ahead and check it out if you feel like it. But I used Michel Thomas, and I think I went through that in like a month. But by the time I made my 5-month video, my 5-month Spanish progress video, I had gone through Pimsleur, and I also went through Michel Thomas. So I went through those 2 programs simultaneously, studying a Spanish grammar book and a Spanish grammar exercise book with little stories and question and answer type book. It's pretty good. I believe it's called Spanish Now. You can find that on Amazon as well. I'm not sponsored by any of this stuff. I just want you guys to know what I did to learn Spanish. And I used those for the first 5 months, as well as this box of like 1,000 Spanish flashcard, like basic vocabulary. So with that, I was able to make that 5-month Spanish speaking progress video that you guys see on my channel if you search it. And then from there, really, it was various books, right? 3 semesters of college Spanish. So I took those 3 semesters up until a year and a half of studying Spanish, right? So by the time I made that 1 year Spanish update, I had already done 2 semesters of Spanish. And then probably one of the most important books that I ever purchased for learning Spanish is a Routledge Spanish frequency dictionary. It's a frequency dictionary. You should definitely check these out. A frequency dictionary is a dictionary that lists the words of a language in the order that they're most repeated, right? So the number one word will be the word that's repeated the most in conversations and in books. I believe the method was they used like a bunch of newspaper articles and a bunch of books to decide which words should be included in which ranking. And the frequency dictionary actually lists the first 5,000 most frequently used words in a language. And basically I went through that and I made a flashcard for every single word I did not know. And I memorized every single word that I could in that dictionary, right? And that I spent probably from the time where I was at that 5-month video to the year video, I spent just memorizing words, right? Memorizing words, but simultaneously studying that Spanish grammar in college. And also, I created a Facebook page where I only added people from Spanish-speaking countries, right? So I did some immersion. I sought out different language learning groups, different language exchange groups on Facebook, and I added people who were from languages I wanted to visit, or from countries I wanted to visit, such as Mexico or other places in Latin America. Not so much Spain, because at the time I wasn't very interested, but now I would love to go to Spain. And I created a Facebook with only Spanish speakers. I started messaging people who spoke Spanish, and I really got into typing and writing in Spanish. Then, another important step in my Spanish language progress, I purchased Glassoka. Now, not this new Glassoka. For those of you who don't know Glassoka, it's I believe it's Glossika, or it's Glossikka. I don't remember exactly how it's spelled, but Glassoka. Oh, bump the camera, bumping the camera. But Glassoka is basically, I believe it's built on an SRS, a spaced repetition system, and it has like over 2,000 phrases and sentences. And basically, it feeds you a sentence, and you respond, and then you're supposed to shadow the sentence. And then it feeds you another sentence, and then you shadow the sentence. If you don't know what shadowing is, I have a video on my channel about how to shadow a language, which is a helpful technique for learning languages. Basically, the basics is you hear something, and then you repeat after it immediately. So if I say like, the cat is blue, like the second you hear you say the. And then the second you hear cat, you say cat. And the second you hear blue, you say blue. So when it says the cat, you should already be saying the. And then you'll be saying cat. It sounds confusing, but when I demonstrate it, it's very easy to understand. But I used Glassoka, and at the time the legacy Glassoka was like $40 for 3 levels or something like that. So I used Glassoka. I would basically go for like 4-mile walks, like an hour walk, and just walk like a crazy man, and just shadow the language all day. And I used Glassoka, so the 3 audios I used were Pimsleur, Michelle Thomas, and Glassoka, right? And then the main books were the Routledge Spanish, Frequency Dictionary, Spanish Now, and then various grammar books from school, and a bunch of Spanish flashcards. Now, aside from the 3 semesters of Spanish, next semester I will be taking a 4th semester in Spanish. It's been probably like 2.5 years since I've taken a Spanish class, so hopefully it's not going to be too hard on me. We'll see. But right now, what I'm doing to really improve my Spanish is every single day I am recording myself speaking Spanish. 5 days a week, I have purchased italki lessons with the Spanish speaker in Mexico, one of my homies, and maybe one day I'll post a video and I'll promote his italki profile. But it's really cheap, especially if you're living in the United States and you're making American dollars. It's really easy to find a native speaker in another country who is willing to converse with you for an hour for as little as $4 or $5, right? So you have to be willing to spend a little bit of money, but I've been doing that 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. I've been getting up at 6 a.m. and having these conversations with my buddy. and that's through italki. You can also find language learning partners through italki really easily. I made a video on finding a partner, and I think I timed myself in that video, and it was like a few hours to have someone on the phone talking in the language I was seeking, which was Spanish. And on top of all of this, what I've done is I have began to speak to my wife only in Spanish. She speaks Spanish. She's fluent. She's not, I wouldn't call her a native speaker. She's a native speaker, but she doesn't speak it like a real Mexican. She speaks it like a Mexican who grew up here, right? So it's not on the same level, but it's good enough. It's more than enough, actually, and we practice together, and basically I force her to practice with me by only speaking to her in Spanish, to the point where it's like she has to respond in Spanish. It's actually quite funny, and sometimes it can be a headache, but we've been doing that too. And aside from that, I have been to Mexico a few times. I spend time with my wife's family, where I practice a lot. And I'm actually going to Mexico in 3 weeks. I'm going to be there for a whole week. I'm going all the way down to Guadalajara. So you can't be afraid to travel to the country as well. Well, anyways, guys, with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative. And nos vemos en el próximo video. Los amo. Y suscríbete a mi canal de YouTube. Y bueno, pues hasta luego. Bye.